Thank you, everyone. Uh, this is the Carson Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Committee meeting. This is for Tuesday, May 24th, 2022. Before I start the agenda, I just want to give some props to a valiant worker in the city. We're happy to have Eliza Jane Whitman will be our speaker today for the Carson Chamber meeting. She is the Public Works Director, and this meeting is part of the policy of the Carson Chamber of Commerce to strengthen our internal partnerships with key city department heads, local community businesses, community leaders, and educational institutions. She has great responsibility in implementing the City of Carson's policies on infrastructure development and plans for our city. Also, these plans go all the way to future events, including plans that the city is making for the 2028 Olympics. The Public Works Department is committed to providing the City of Carson a safe, clean, and healthy environment. They have a number of employees. It's stated 143 employees in that 127 full-time, which is allocated. I guess they're going to be filling up certain positions. A number of part-time and a lot of full-time equivalent, meaning people that over the time the equivalent of full-time. Morning, Mr. Chair. Richard Chang has just joined us.
Good morning.
The engineering division is part of their group, and they are responsible for assisting divisions of the city, such as the landscape and building maintenance division, which is the one that deals with landscaping of Carson, of tree trimming and right-of-way maintenance and median and all of those things. And then the right-of-way group, which is the ones that is involved in infrastructure of streets within the public right-of-ways and ensure public safety. I want to give some props on the promise made by Public Works and the promise made and delivered. I have a notice that came to my house that the traffic installation at Tejada Avenue and Del Amo Boulevard, project 1628. The construction shall involve the underground facilities of new conduit, traffic footings, and essential equipment for the safe operations of this new traffic signal. My understanding is going to start this week under construction, and I'd like to commend at least Eliza Jane Whitman on that. Thank you. In starting our agenda, I'll call this meeting to order. It's 11:07. I'll do a little roll call. We have a number of people here, but I'll start off with have Mr. Richard Chang to give us a little comments from as chairman of the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. Mr. Chang.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for participating in this Zoom call today. We have a very important department head that's a professional. She's a professional engineer, highly qualified in what she does. And she has a lot of responsibility. The Carson Chamber of Commerce will want to work with you and provide any assistance that we can through the Economic Committee Chair, Mr. Mike Stewart. We are here to help you improve our city, because it's really a complicated task that you have been charged with. It's not easy. We understand that. And so we are here to assist you in try to make your job a little easier. With that, I would like to turn the meeting back to Mr. Stewart.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Uh, my report is very simple this morning. Our vision is always has been to showcase Carson. It's a simple vision. We want to showcase the good things that we have here that people don't know. Some of the residents don't know what's going on. So our thing is to showcase Carson. Our methodology is to bring information. What's public works? Who's the director? What do they do? How do they do it? Who implements the policies of the council? That's what we're doing today. We want to give aspiration, desire for advancement for the business community and the Carson community. We're not just a city by the freeway. We are an integral part of this region, a jewel of the South Bay, and an integral community and governmental and industrial hub of this region. We want to do inspiration. We want to give inspiration for leadership for growth in our community. We don't want to be in the 60s anymore. We want to make this not a bedroom community, but a community people want to come to have, to spend their money, to invest in this city and make the operation of the city well done. So with that, I'd like to bring on Eliza Jane Whitman, Director of Public Works, City of Carson. She'll give us an update on Public Works progress in the City of Carson. Progress in Carson by giving succinct synopsis of her short-term, mid-term, and long-term plans for public works in the City of Carson, including future plans for the 2028 Olympics. I'm concerned, I like to find out about pavement management systems. I like to know what discussion of future pavement management priorities are, management plans for the municipal facilities, parks, and athletic fields. And also, are we going to get some future grant funds and federal infrastructure funding to help her do her job, or giving her the funds to get the work done? With that, I turn it over to you, Eliza Jane Whitman, City of Carson, and a Public Works Director. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen and go through a PowerPoint that I created just for you guys.
Hey,
All right.
and we
Just
did
for you.
explain that normally for artistic purposes that the presentation is done in the form of a haiku,
Oh,
perhaps with some guided imagery. So you take that as you will.
well, I'm an engineer, so haikus, I'm not really good with. But thank you. Hey, really pleased to be here. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak and share a little bit about what we're doing, what we hope to do over the next many years. And just want to start off a little bit with my background. I've been a civil engineer for over 30 years, have been working in public infrastructure during that entire time, both in public as well as private industry, but also am very sensitive and cognizant of small businesses. I had my own company for 8.5 years. And so, really am sensitive to, the needs of small businesses. So just wanted to let you guys know that. So a little bit in terms of our current fiscal year 21-22 public works structure, approximately 144 to 150 employees, and that really goes up and down based on part-time, interns, things like that. So, but the numbers that were given before are more the full-time, constant employees, although we are looking at a few more hires based on all the work that we are being asked to do and is expected both from the residents, businesses, and city council. There's just so much. So our for fiscal year 21-22, we had 113 projects. Our total budget was around 67 million, with over 5 years, 247 million. And that'll come up in a few minutes as to the difference that we've got for the new fiscal years. Engineering takes care of streets, parks, our city-owned facilities, regional projects, resiliency, asset management, and the development of stormwater requirements. We also have a very significant maintenance team. We have right-of-way, which is curb and gutter, sidewalks, potholes, streets, but they're more the smaller projects compared to the engineering, who really does those really large projects that you guys are seeing, particularly like Carson Street right now. Maintenance also has our fleet. So we have over 100 vehicles, both heavy equipment as well as some EVs and just, small trucks and things that we drive around. We also have a warehouse so that we, make sure that we optimize our time. We don't have staff going to Home Depot all the time. Things like gloves, things that really are needed, we have in our warehouse to really be efficient. Landscape, our right-of-way trees and our parkland landscape. I don't know if you realize we have over 18,000 trees throughout the city. We actually are looking for more funding for trees from the federal government, so hopefully we'll get even more. We do take care of the medians, and then our building and facility maintenance and repairs. That's all in-house, and that's our maintenance team. We also have a solid waste and environmental group, and they look at the organic and solid waste. They do e-waste days, dump days, which is one coming up soon. And I think it's June 18. We're doing that in collaboration with Assemblyman Gibson, I believe, and Caltrans. And we also have paper shredding community events. And then finally, they look at our ordinances, contracts, and state requirements. So some of the things that we've done over the last year, some of the highlights is we have actually started and worked on 72 projects. And this includes our on-call consultants. This is a lot of work. Our team is just really dedicated to getting a lot of work done. The increase in the number of projects over the last 3 years that we did this past year increased by over 58%. A lot of output. Our increase in expenditures over the last 3 years is up by 47%. And this was all done by approximately 50% of our engineering staff, if you average over a 12-month period. And our expectations are once we get our full staffing, that we can double or triple at least our expenditures in fiscal year 22-23. So we're really focused on really getting a lot of work out. Some of our current engineering highlights includes the Tesla EV chargers that are going to be installed. There's about 20 of them at Community Center. That's really going to put Carson on the map because it is right in the middle of the other 2 Tesla chargers along the 405. And so we do expect a lot of traffic, and really kind of cool that it's going to be next to not only our community center, but also City Hall. And then we're also working with Edison on their EV charging program that is going to be throughout our parks. And so these are going to be for everybody who doesn't have a Tesla. And those should be not as fast as the Tesla superchargers, but really good systems themselves. We also are working on HVAC completion in the next 3 to 4 months, really needed. This is going to help our chambers, making sure that the air quality is top notch. We're putting in state-of-the-art equipment, and really excited to also be improving the roof and insulation in the attic and everything else. So we're really, wanting to make sure this is a complete effort. We also, community center has upgrades in the next 6+ months. We're looking at new coiling walls, which is basically those dividers between the different sections. So if we wanted to have different groups going on at the same time, we're putting in insulation in those dividers. It's really very nice equipment, as well as we recognize we needed to upgrade the lighting and the AV system along with those walls, because if you really truly have different events going on, then, we want to make sure that you could have 3 different presentations going on at the same time, but also setting it up so that you could have one big room. So it's really taken, we've had some expert folks come in and analyze the AV equipment and what is needed so that everybody can hear, and it's really top notch. And then, as I mentioned, we did apply for some US Senate and House earmarks, Anderson Park for ADA, Veterans Park with solar, and then citywide tree planting. These are items that, we have no idea how they decide which projects they're going to fund, but we gave them a little bit of everything and hope that something will stick. We do expect something, but we're not exactly sure which one. So I wanted to, I didn't do a good job on this one, it looks like, but the title is basically the grant funded public works projects. And what is here is basically indicating that our engineering team has just done a fabulous job over the years in obtaining grant funds. So we're not, just relying on, tax dollars or revenue coming in for other things. We have been aggressive in terms of going after grant funding with both Caltrans and Metro in particular. And just for our streets and some of the activities in our engineering projects, we've obtained almost over 34 million, almost $35 million worth of grants for the city of Carson. So some of the maintenance highlights, we are in the process of putting in new nozzles for water efficiency. We're really excited about this. This is working with Cal Water and Metropolitan Water District to make sure that we do our part as it relates to the drought and respond as best we can to decrease our consumption, but at the same time still have nice parks. We also have been very aggressive in terms of our sidewalk replacement where needed, and trimming down the roots and other things where, we do know that we need to make sure that we have safe sidewalks. And we are combining that with grinding from a contractor. We don't actually have the grinding equipment, but we're working on that and should be going to city council soon. Although we've already done quite a bit, and that's why it's a highlight that we've already completed quite a bit already. New signs are going out throughout the city, and we also have new and improved equipment to complete all of this work in-house. And an example I put on here is a striping truck. We did an economic analysis and realized that if we bought our own striping truck, we would not have to pay the county who currently had a striping contract with the city. And within 3 years, we have payback. So this is the kind of thing that we're looking at constantly to say what type of work our staff can do and be efficient and, have good value for everyone in Carson. So here I just wanted to highlight a few of the maintenance activities that our team does. And these are all the tasks that we did on the service requests. The requests come in via phone calls or emails or website. And on the left side is the type of all the different types of work that we get. And last year, fiscal year, the entire year, January to December of 2021, we did over 3,500 service requests. And this is in addition to what was asked of our team in doing their regular job. So this is, you can see that our team in Public Works, does the best they can to respond to as many things as possible. So I wanted now just to touch base a little bit on our capital improvement program that we have proposed for fiscal year 22-23 in the next 5 years. Keep in mind, oh, go ahead. Sorry. Does somebody have a question?
No, keep going.
Oh, okay, sorry. So this is a draft still based on some of the things that happened last night. There's some things are going to get slightly modified, but this is what we had proposed a couple weeks ago and what we expect to be more or less the main thing. But, what is driving our CIP? And it really, a lot of it is due to the Olympics. When we think about it, it's only 6 years away, but for infrastructure projects, that's not very long. When you start thinking about planning, design, and construction, one project could take 6 years. So we did reach out to South Bay COG, and they indicated to us that in October, there's another opportunity to obtain additional grant funds, but we need to propose what it is that we would like. We just last Thursday met with Metro, and they are on the Olympic Planning Committee. So they're interested in what Carson specifically wants. We've talked to them about a few things, which is great. It's just the first time they've reached out to us. And so they seem to have an inside opportunity to get our message across to the Olympic Committee in terms of some of the transportation and infrastructure needs that we are interested in. We're starting to look at what's needed, and I could come on at a separate time just to talk about this, but the Olympics is going to have a huge impact when it's actually here to citizens and businesses, and we want to be prepared so that it doesn't negatively impact, and hopefully is going to be a positive experience, but we just need to really make sure we think through what that is and how that's going to work. If anyone sat in on our presentation last city council, we noticed that we did a study over the last 9 months on our streets, and our street paving or pavement index has gone down over the last 5 years. So now we have been asked to look at how to get it back up. And what that means is spending minimum $16 million a year for at least 10 years. So we're going to be coming back to city council and letting them know our plan and how we anticipate doing this. Also looking at the ARPA funds and looking at where we should be slurry sealing first. So all of that is coming in the next couple of months with a plan and being, strategic in terms of what we need to do and where, and then obviously, match that with grant funds as best as we can so that we're not having to spend our general fund money. We also are reevaluating bike lanes and complete streets. To be competitive, we need to have policies for both green streets and complete streets. So we plan to go to city council soon, I think on June 7, to have just kind of a policy related to that, as it, so when we put in bike lanes and we do things for the city, we're thinking about complete streets and doing our best to remove Shero lanes. We've actually got a project and hope to have some of your members meet with us soon, because we'd like to show what it is that we've talked about with consultants, and then also get community input. To me, this is one of the biggest things that we should be doing for the community, is communicating and making sure that whatever we're doing in public works is what the citizens and businesses want, that we shouldn't just be going forward and not listening. So I've actually had to stop a couple of design projects and say, wait, we need to get city input. We need to get community input. So have not necessarily been always popular with my project managers, but I know it's the right thing that we need to do for the city.
You know what? Maybe you should do a presentation to the Chamber of Commerce. Oh, wait, you're doing one right now.
Explain what shovel ready means. That's what I want to hear.
Okay, so shovel ready number 5 is basically having our design either on-call consultants or in-house engineering have projects ready, already designed. So you have the plans, you have the specifications. You literally could go out and get a contractor to bid on that project. So that's what shovel ready means.
What about zoning? I'm gonna hit on that for a reason.
Sorry, what was that?
Zoning, if it's shovel ready, is it also passed by the planning department? That's the,
It should, yes, it should be. It will be, yes. By planning department, it will already be approved.
all right.
That's a good point.
Okay.
And, like I mentioned, number 8, we're always trying to make sure that, we're optimized in both our practices and equipment. Some of this, really is, takes some time. It's not things you can do overnight. It's also understanding how we function. And, are there improvements? Yes or no? And then if they are, like, how do we do this in a professional way, as well as being respectful of how people have done it in the past. So it takes a little bit of time. So now coming to the categories in terms of fiscal year 22-23, these are just estimates, but we have roadways, bikeways, buildings, parks, stormwater technology. Some of this might change a little bit. But for this coming up fiscal year, we're now at $79.5 million and 156 projects. So this is an increase from the 67 that we had last year. And last year we also had 113 projects. Now we're up at 156. We really are trying to figure out how we're going to get all this work done. These are the projects that we understand, everybody, city council, residents, businesses would like us to do. So we're going to be going through a strategy process of trying to figure this all out. But for the 5-year CIP, this means $389 million worth of projects with a project value of over 452 million. So there's a lot here. So this is kind of a graphic showing how much work Public Works is cranking out. And so, we really, are working hard to increase this. I don't know if I mentioned, but I joined the city of Carson the end of January 2021. So have been here a little over a year, almost a year and a half, and just have been able to work really well with the Carson team and hoping to make a positive impact on what we're doing. So one of the things I created this table for this presentation because I wanted to mention some things that have come in, and some of them are because of some of the folks that I've known over my 30 years, but then they're not in the CIP. So one of the first and foremost is Dominguez Channel. Lots of, when you talk about how Carson is in the news and everything, but what we've been doing is teaming and partnership with the Army Corps and LA County Department of Public Works for the future. And so what we've applied for, well, actually the county has applied for it because they're the ones who are responsible for the channel, but they've, some of these folks I know, and so we've been working with them in terms of making sure that Carson has a seat at the table, and that, we're working with them in terms of that section 6+ miles through the city of Carson that Dominguez Channel runs. We just want to make sure that we're being heard and, we're at the table. But what we've applied for with the Army Corps, and my understanding it's passed the subcommittee in the House in Washington, D.C., and that's for 40 million. And now it goes to the full House. And if it's approved, there'll be 40 million, not just that Carson gets, but for all of us to look at the Dominguez Channel and what needs to be done. And there's another 10 million that we've applied for locally with the Army Corps, again, just to make and understand improvements and do some feasibility analysis and potentially some studies to figure out what it is that we can do with an ultimate goal of restoring and improving this so it is truly an asset for the city of Carson. We also have the Alameda Railroad crossing. Interestingly, the CPUC, the California Public Utilities Commission, is responsible for all railroad crossings in the state of California. So normally we think of the CPUC as regulating gas company or electric company, but they actually also regulate railroad crossings. So we've talked to them, and it looks like there's a grant that they're willing to earmark for us for this particular crossing to make it safe. My understanding is there's been a couple deaths on this area, so we want to make it safe as best we can. That will be meaning that we will be working with the city of LA too, because they share half of the road. Alameda Boulevard and SR 47. Really interestingly, I don't even remember how it started, but back last February, weeks into me starting, had a conversation with Caltrans. One thing led to another. Initially, it was not a positive, or it wasn't an easy conversation with them, because we were really asking for Alameda Boulevard to be converted back to the state system. And so then things happened with the supply chain and everything else. We got a call from the White House to basically say, hey, will you help us out? And we said, hey, will you take Alameda Boulevard, have the state take it over so they can maintain it? It's just trucks. And long story short is they've agreed. We're in current communication with them. They hired a brand new project manager just for this. And so we're in the process. It might take a couple years to be converted over, but then that means that City of Carson does not have to maintain Alameda Boulevard or SR 47. And that is a really, really important thing. It's up to $100 million value to the city of Carson for that to happen. So this is really exciting.
Question.
You know, with the kind of aware that stretch gets, I mean, I don't think most people drive on that, so they're not aware of it, but the amount of wear that it gets, that really is an important deal for Carson, because it's very expensive.
Very, very good point. And that was one of the initial reasons we reached out. And, you know, really was interesting. It wasn't until the White House reached out to us because of the supply chain issue from the ports, basically,
Yes.
this happened. And I just, you know, it's like being in the right place at the right time. And
Is that,
really excited this is happening. Go ahead.
yes, is that part of our public works infrastructure allotment from the federal government? I'm understanding there's a tranche of funds coming into the city of Carson for infrastructure. I know those funds, I don't know, have they been delivered yet, or we're in the process? And also, will this $100 million of planning be the 6-mile stretch in the city of Carson, but will it also go all the way to the ports and all the way back through downtown? Could you give us that information?
Sure. So this is actually a completely separate deal. This is with Caltrans. This is not federal money per se. I mean, if it is any federal money, it's going through Caltrans, but not to Carson. This is the entire stretch that is currently not in the state, in the state alignment or network right now. For whatever reason, it was back in the 80s, this section was never put back into State Route 47 with Caltrans. And so it got overlooked somehow. So there is the unincorporated county, there is a section of Compton, I believe, and then there's Carson. And so those three areas is what this is about.
Okay.
So the next one is working with the LA Regional Water Quality Control Board. We've gotten a lot of goodwill from them. We have done compliance inspections, and we now have a new permit. They have now seen us as a kind of poster child. They feel like what we did some high-tech technology with our inspectors. We had code inspectors who went out and did a great job doing this. And so they're actually now asking us to give a presentation to other cities as well as in-house. So that's pretty exciting. We also, I think many know that Metropolitan Water District has their regional recycled water program, but really helps the west, right? And it takes the demand off the Colorado River. Well, that plant, that program, that design, that infrastructure is in Carson. And so we've been working with them. I'm fortunate to know the general manager, as well as some of the other engineers working on this project. And we just recently talked to them about the alignment, which is an 84-inch pipeline going to the plant. There is going to be some disruption, but we're working really closely with them to make sure that Carson is not negatively impacted, small businesses are not impacted, and that if there's a possibility that this work can be completed before the Olympics, that they fast track some of that. So again, it's really making sure that as much as we possibly can, have them think about and be concerned about the residents of Carson when they do these big projects. Next one is West Basin Municipal Water District. We're asking them to give us recycled water and put in the infrastructure required for Mills Park and maybe some other areas. They have a recycled water system throughout, and Carson is part of it. So that's worth millions of dollars as value. And then also the final one is watershed and stormwater projects. We are part of several watershed groups, the Dominguez Channel Watershed Group and the South Santa Monica Bay. So a lot of things going on that, they're not necessarily like really fun, interesting stuff, but very fundamental, I believe, for Carson to get their fair share and to have the infrastructure and the systems that they need to be able to move forward. So just real quickly, I don't, these are some of the numbers, and I'll be giving this PowerPoint so you can look at it later, but I did want to break it down. Again, this is draft numbers, so not final, but this is where what we're illustrating is that we do work to get grant funding, matching funds, and try to minimize the use of general funds as best we can. So in this particular case, we're looking at the special revenue coming in at around 60 million, and then our general fund is only 20 million. So pretty good ratio of getting monies to add to what we do to improve the city. So just to kind of highlight some of our focus for the next coming up fiscal year, we have some park designs we want to get done, bikes, slurry seal and street improvements. We're working on a 2028 Olympic strategy study. Again, this is more geared towards infrastructure because, we just want to make sure that we're doing, the right thing to minimize those impacts to everybody. We are looking at an asset management plan. We've kicked that off. And that really is to say, what do we own and how do we make sure that it's taken care of? The maintenance activities, everything. I think if folks saw the presentation on our streets, the fact that our streets are worth $314 million, I mean, who thinks of that? I mean, it's like, whoa, that's a lot of money, right? If everything was blown up, that's how much money it would cost to put it all back. We also want to look at we have a citywide resiliency analysis that we hope to get kicked off this year to look at safety, infrastructure, emergency planning, all sorts of stuff to really make sure that we're solid, that we have the fundamentals in, designed and constructed. It may take a few years to get all of that completed, but we need to understand where we are today. And then obviously Dominguez Channel. So just, you might see this in the next few weeks. We're going to be going to City Council on the concrete grinding contract, a new one. We're going to be looking at additional tree trimming efforts. We are starting our EV charger system and program with Edison. And our drought tolerant plant palette for City Hall medians and right of way is going to be happening in the next few months. So we'll get that ironed out. We're evaluating innovative technologies for infrastructure, streamlining our operations, and looking at all of our processes. So one of the things that I created this slide just to say, I want to hear from you guys too, because I've been doing a ton of talking here, but what are the things that the business community is interested in? Are you interested in maybe doing some sponsoring, whether it's an intern or, helping to pay for a median or tree plantings, totally open to that. We really encourage community engagement activities, particularly for what's going on in public works. The last thing I want to do is to build something, spend millions, and then find out that the community doesn't want it. So, as I mentioned, we've got bike lanes coming up on Dominguez Channel. I do know that's going to be a pretty big effort in conjunction with LA County Department of Public Works, but we actually do have our own stormwater master plan and implementation plan that's going on. So we'll definitely, it's, all stormwater ultimately, or most, I should say, ends up in Dominguez Channel. So we'll definitely want to engage the community and find out if we do stormwater projects where that might be a good place. And then park improvements. So I don't know if we want to stop there, but I do want to hear your input. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, and I'm gonna open it up for some questions. You have a few minutes for questions. Basically, I'd like to hear some questions from the committee and from our business community on some of these issues. I was very much keyed into infrastructure, shovel-ready projects, but I'll wait on that, explain that, but we want to hear some more from the rest of our committee here.
You can pick it up.
So it's open for questions.
No.
Eliza, you want to unshare your screen so we can see everybody?
Okay.
Yes, excellent point. Thank you.
All right, I'm ready for questions to our speaker. Yes, Ray?
I had a question. I'll be meeting with, I think I'll be meeting with Ms. Whitman tomorrow.
Yes.
And regarding the bicycle. But you spoke a lot about the Dominguez Channel and the bicycle routing. Is the plan still, at this point, is the plan still to have to go around Victoria Park instead of going through the, down alongside the channel? Because that's a big detour to go around and down the roller coaster down King Boulevard and then back on to Avalon, back down, and then go and do a switch back over the. I mean, it's like an adventure in itself. And I understand it's all about money, but that was just one of the questions I had to ask. Was that still the plan, or did they find some money to allow us to just get on the channel from the metro station down on, across from Home Depot, down on the metro station, to just go straight down the channel?
Yes.
Now there's, it's the big detour.
Right. So the short answer is yes, that's still the plan, but we're in the process of applying for some more grants.
Okay.
And we do have an amendment that is going to City Council. Once approved, that just puts us in the running to be able, when we go after projects for grants, to say, look, it's in our master plan, and we amended it. So a lot of it is just doing that upfront planning and indicating that this is, where we want the paths to be, and then we're in better standing when we go after grants.
Okay. And one next question, and that was the bike sharrows, and we'll again probably discuss this tomorrow. We're not talking about just painting over the sharrow and calling it a day. We're talking about replacing it with a bike path or something, a bike lane or something. Correct?
We are, and
Okay.
we're going the next level, which is to look at medians to determine, and just actually the whole right of way, is there a possibility of maybe decreasing in certain areas the medians and maybe even street lanes so that we can have protected bike lanes.
Right. Yeah, That of course would be the ideal thing. Okay. Okay.
So we're looking at street by street.
I'll get my question now. As far as shovel-ready projects, do you have a group or list that you're working on right now for shovel-ready projects? That if some money pops in, and I'm noticing that we have Representative Barragan, Arcely Rubalcaba is here. If they find some money and pop it to Carson, are we ready to go on some projects? And where are those projects, do you think?
So that's a great question. So there's the 3 projects that we proposed to Washington, DC. All 3 of those are shovel ready. So we had, had designs for Anderson Park. We've got for tree planting citywide, we definitely have all of the details and all the requirements. And, if needed, our in-house maintenance staff can do quite a bit as it relates to, say, a tree well needs to be increased or something like that. And then for Veterans Park, we had some designs for putting solar in various places throughout the park and, just making some improvements that way. So we're ready to go for those 3 projects, but we wanted to also look at additional ones. Sometimes these engineering, like Anderson Park, for example, that took us 9 months. It took us 9 months to get it to a shovel-ready level with design details, designs, and specifications to be able to take it out. So we're looking at other CIP lists, projects, and that we've got listed and going through that process. It'll probably get kicked off in July, like which of these we're actually, and we're going to want city council input, but which ones do we earmark to start design on to be shovel ready? And I do believe some of those are going to be the parks, but there may be some others.
Further questions?
I got a
I just had
question.
oh,
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Mr. Chang, go ahead.
Currently, do you have sufficient staffing levels and resources to coordinate and monitor all the current department work plans and projects in a timely manner?
Oh,
Yeah,
you probably know the answer to that. What public works director is ever going to say I have enough?
Yeah, never enough, but you
Yeah,
must
but
have plans to perhaps increase your staffing levels for the future projects.
Yeah,
Well,
we're,
It's one way the chamber can support you. in
and to
your-
be
sounds
fair to
great.
you, I mean, right now, it really, I think some background people need is that we were running out of engineers and we were down to 1.
yeah,
And so you have been furiously hiring and now you have 5?
right.
Is that right? So anyway, but playing catch up on that's not easy because our engineers work more as project managers than actual designers. That just makes sense with our sort of an operation. And so it takes quite a bit of time to get up to speed. So my hat is off to you and all of them, but that's a large deficit of talent to make up and relearn.
No, it's true. Thank you for saying that. It's and now because of the infrastructure bill that's passed and just the economy in general as it relates to an infrastructure, engineers are incredibly difficult to find.
Right.
Especially when, you can find engineers coming right out of school, but they may not have the skill sets that you need to manage, say, a $5 million project, or even a $2 million project. They're, engineers, just like, doctors, they take it's years of training to be able to manage projects and manage, designs and everything else. So we're in the boat with so many others where we're really looking for talent. So if you know of any engineers, let me know.
Yeah, what we've discussed this. My son is an engineer, a civil engineer working for another city, and he gets calls all the time from recruiters and emails unsolicited saying, you know, even without talking to, hey, we have this job and it pays this much. And if you can start within the next 2 weeks, we'll give you an extra $5,000 signing bonus and stuff. He's like, look, I'm happy. Just leave me alone. But how much? Yeah.
It's tough right now.
One of the things that the, the Carson Chamber is looking at is trying to get a report, an infrastructure annual report. And I noticed that in your presentation, you're talking about developing an infrastructure annual report, and you want chamber input. And I really like that. So
Good.
how are we going to do that?
Let's get together. We'll figure that out.
Thank you. That's one of our items for discussion in future meetings. will
Okay.
be Development of an infrastructure annual report. Every year, we got another report coming in. We'd like to work with you. That's the purpose of meeting with you and forming a partnership with you. And I know that's on your mind and that's on our mind also. I really
Sounds
appreciate it.
good. Absolutely.
Thank you for your presentation. If there are no further questions, I'm going to ask Barry, do you have the president of the Chamber of Commerce give an update on specific issues and initiatives of the city of Carson with
Yes.
regard to the business community?
First, an item for our guests that this came up last week in another meeting I was participating in. The COG has resources available for building upgrades for energy efficiency. And I asked them specifically if they thought the Carson Community Center project would be appropriate for that. And they said yes. So talk to Kim Fuentes over at the COG. I've got her info if you don't have it. But she'd be happy to talk with you about that. So otherwise, just wanted to mention that we have had some big projects going on that we've been working on. One is the development at the 157 acre site. Participated in the public hearing on that last night, which the council did approve unanimously. So we were very heartened to see that. As I explained to the council, when I started with the city in 1987, my first job was writing a letter to Al Davis saying that we were sorry that his deal for the Raiders coming to Irwindale, that deal had fallen apart, but we'd still like to have him come to Carson. And, you know, so we did that NFL project. We did another NFL project. We did the one of just a few years ago that clearly was never going to go anywhere. They were just, you know, using us as a bargaining chip. We had the Metro Mall. We had Metro 2000. We had Carson Marketplace, and all these projects, which, you know, each one of them had its pluses and minuses, but none of those happened. And so the fact is, it's time for us to move forward on that site. So, and the council echoed that sentiment. So they've been here a while and they know that project is just needing to happen so that we can get things moving forward. Also, we participated on some other projects that were being held up. And so we have pushed the city to get those moving at the former General Mills site on the north end of town, a new development going on there. And whenever really you have a new project in Carson, we don't have any green fields. We have no open sites that have not been built on before. Everything is redevelopment. That's just the fact of it. And so we want to encourage these projects so that we can clean up the old ones and bring in new and literally cleaner, clean up these brownfield issues that we have. So we're trying to make sure the city understands that that encouraging development really is a way to address blight. And we don't have a redevelopment agency anymore, so this is what we've got. Anyway, I could babble on that, but I love public works stuff. Years ago, I used to write the CIP for the city. And so it was much smaller numbers back then, but we were still scratching our heads going like, this is really important and somewhere we're going to find that money. And so I look and I see the Delamo Bridge is there. I mean, that was a huge project and it was built almost entirely with somebody else's money because we had really smart engineers. and we continue to have really smart engineers. And I don't think that the average resident or the average business person has any idea how much is done for them and how much money is saved by smart engineers just keeping their eyes open and saying, you know what, I think this project may be eligible for some funds over here. Or, you know, if we include this little piece of it here, now we can do something there. And so that long range thinking has really served us well over the decades, which is why, you know, you can tell when I've ridden my bike and I've gotten to Carson, I can tell because my ride smooths out. And, you know, that was the policy back when I started with the city in '87, that we maintained our streets well. And I'm glad that's continuing. So that's it, Mr. Chairman. Lots and lots of good stuff going on. And
I
we're just
hear
happy to
that.
see everybody.
Okay, now I'm open for oral communication, any oral communication from any of the participants in this meeting. If you have something to tell the business community, please let us know. I'm looking forward to hearing from you right now. It's open to you. Any oral communication? All right. I'm waiting. All right. Well, thank you for everyone for attending this meeting. I think it was very positive. I know that we will be getting back.
Wait,
Liza
Diana
James.
has a question.
Who, Diane?
Diana, from the Boys and Girls Club.
Diane, go ahead.
Hi, apologies. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Diana with the Boys and Girls Club. Hi, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to make a quick comment. I just wanted to share if there's any opportunities to include young people in the process. I find it very, very interesting to allow them to give input about the way their city looks or will look. So if we could coordinate anything, we're happy to bring you into our Workforce Wednesdays, or to simply include more opportunities for them to understand the in and outs of their city. And then in general, just want to uplift youth voice. If there's an opportunity to bring in young people to listen or to chat about their experiences in the city, we'd love the opportunity to do that.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks, Diana.
I think we can do that.
Another one, Cheryl, I don't know if you're, or Sherelle, excuse me. I don't know if you're wanting to announce this, but I understand we have a new person coming on board for Carson.
Hi, I'm sorry, give me 1 second, trying to get this mask off.
No problem.
We are actually in the process of hiring our new job developer, and they should be starting on, yay, is right. It's been about a year, and so we are in the process of onboarding them for the 2nd of next month. And they will be able to come in and help us with our business services and getting the residents and youth of Carson placed on site and in paid work experience opportunities as well as internships.
Yeah, it's important to remember the Workforce Investment Board isn't just serving people looking for jobs, but it's serving people, companies looking for people.
Yes.
And they have a lot of training programs. We had a company just contact us yesterday. And so Robert Chavez got him involved in that. And so, you know, there's things that we can do to help our businesses. And we want to make sure that people know about those programs and we can use them. Don't want to leave money sitting on the table. Right.
Exactly. And just one last thing, Barry, if you don't mind. We're working closely with LA County USC Medical Center. I know they're having some current issues, but we have this huge program right now where we're training CNAs for free. We're taking them through the entire process of helping them through the training, paying for that training, taking them through the process of getting their license so they can become nursing assistants. LA County USC has 100 positions open just in that area alone. And then they also have the opportunity to further their education through LA County USC and through RN opportunities. And so, and all of this information and all of these opportunities are free to individuals, and Carson is our primary focus and our first area of service. So please, if you know anyone that's interested in a CNA opportunity, these jobs are hot right now, and this training is free, and we have some spaces that we need to fill. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Sherelle.
Of course, thank you.
Any more? Oral communication? All right. Thank you very much for all of you attending this important meeting. Eliza Jane Whitman, thank you very much. It was well needed, well done, and well received. All right. Thank you everyone for